Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.
Welcome to the Sharkpreneur Show. This is your co-host, Seth Greene. Today I have the good fortune to be joined by Aaron Walker from View from the Top and Iron Sharpens Iron. His bio could fill our whole show, so we're just going to dive right in. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Seth. Thanks for having me on, buddy. I appreciate it.
Now, you've got such an interesting background because you've done so many things. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started?
Yeah, I'll make this real short because I want to make this about your listener, not about me. But native Nashvilleian. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. Been here 60 years this year. Started my first business at 18 years old. Sold it to a Fortune 500 when I was 27. So I was able to retire. And I thought, this is the life, you know, the American dream, to go from broker and a convict to being able to retire. And that was good for about 18 months. Started getting in the bed in the middle of the day. I became very bored. You know the routine. I went back, bought the company I started with when I was a teenager. We grew it 4 times the size it was. And then August 1st, 2001, Seth, is really when my life changed. I was headed to the office. I had, you know, all those toys, and there was a guy crossing the street in front of me to catch a local bus, didn't look my way, and walked out in front of me, and I ran over and killed a pedestrian that day. And it really, really rocked my world. Couldn't handle the stress, went to the counselors, you know, and finally just sold the business, and I took the next 5 years off. And what I discovered through that exercise is that I'd had a lot of success, but no significance. Like, nobody cared that I had been successful, but my family. And I said, Seth's life wouldn't have been better as a result of having known me through that episode. But now that my life is looking outward, trying to help other people accomplish their goals and dreams, your life would be much better around me as a result of that. So what I discovered is that we can have great success simultaneously having significance. And so that's where I've spent the last 20 years. We've owned a number of businesses since then, but today we have 20 mastermind groups. We're in about 30 states across the U.S., and we're in 7 different countries. And I'm having the time of my life helping other people accomplish their goals and dreams.
That is absolutely incredible. And obviously we hope that our listeners don't have to go through something like what you went through to get to the point where they need to be, but obviously it didn't happen to you. It happened for you. You had so much success before then. Why do you think it took that to change your trajectory?
Yeah, because I was a very arrogant and condescending person. You can only imagine being broke. And we came from a very poor family, very, very, very middle class at best. Matter of fact, we lived in a house that my dad gave $6,500 for, and then we lost it in bankruptcy. And so very, very poor family. And I knew what I wanted, and I wanted a measure of success. And I was willing to go to all lengths that were, you know, moral and legal in order to accomplish it. But I really worked myself to a frazzle, literally. And I accomplished great success financially, but at what expense? I came home with a pocket full of money to a house full of strangers. And I'm thinking, you know, really, I mean, you know, my wife's taking my daughter's places, and I'm working just trying to open another location or make another $50,000 or $100,000 and buy a vacation home and have the big house. And none of those things are really bad, but when you make them your God, they become bad. And then the focus was, hey, yeah, I've got money, but I don't know my family. And I almost lost my family as a result of it. Today, I've been married 40 years, this past June.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And so we've got our focus on right. So we just help people establish those boundaries.
So you chose, instead of staying retired at the end of your soul searching, whatever you want to journey, whatever you want to call it, what inspired you to get back into the business world and do what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I went to a mastermind meeting. Let me back up. In the early 90s, I met a guy that was starting a radio show here in Nashville that was going to be talking about financial matters. And this was in the early 90s. And he offered me free advertising to try him. He said, I'm starting this radio show here in Nashville. And if you'll try me, I'll give you a week free. So I said, well, how can I lose at that? So I tried a week free. And people were pouring into our business. Well, that was Dave Ramsey. And so Dave and I became very good friends. I was his second sponsor. I sponsored his show 21 consecutive years. And through that process, he invited me to join his personal mastermind group, years later. So we met in Dave's office for a dozen years with Dan Miller and Ken Abraham and Jeff Mosley, some of those other guys y'all may or may not be familiar with. And when I retired for the third and final time, my wife said, I've retired more than the law allows. Dave said, what are you going to do now? And I said, nothing. And he said, man, you've got to do something. And Dan Miller said, why don't you coach? And I said, I don't want to coach. And I said, I want to go to St. John in the Caribbean and forget it. And they said, you're 50 years old. You've owned 12 successful companies. You've been married over 30 years at this time. They said, you need to coach. And so I went to EntreLeadership Mastery. Dave gave it to me as a gift. And then I went to Dan Miller's Innovate coaching program. And that night, we all live here in Nashville. And that night I was driving home and Dan texted me. He said, Big A, everybody calls me Big A. He said, Big A, did you see the people at your table leaning into all your stories? And I said, well, I'm a good storyteller. He said, no, you've got something to say and you can encourage and help other people. So I'm Christian by faith. So, Christians, we pray about everything. I prayed about it and I said, hey, I'm going to give it a try. So I did. I started doing podcast interviews to promote our coaching business. And next thing I know, I'm looking up, people are calling me. I did John Lee Dumas, Entrepreneur on Fire, got 15 clients overnight, hiring me to coach them individually. So I can't coach this many people. So I started a mastermind. Here we are, we'll have 40 masterminds before the end of this year because we're on a very aggressive growth pattern in the masterminds and it's transforming lives. And so we just keep scaling it.
That is absolutely incredible. So who are your ideal clients for those masterminds? Who are the types of people that you're serving?
Yeah, primarily small business owners, primarily solopreneurs. We have many people that have 450 employees. So it's a very diverse group, but it's people that align with our core values. And our core values are relationships matter most. Let's make it amazing. No excuses. Everything is figure outable and truth before opinion. And if you align with those things, you're probably an avatar of ours. But primarily, it's the small business owner or someone that is in corporate that really wants to be a small business owner, somebody that's really striving and aspiring to own their own business. They want a side hustle. We have people that, they may do $50,000 a year, and we have people that do $50 million a year in top line revenue. And Seth, I set it up that way on purpose because if everybody was the same, we wouldn't have different perspectives. And also you can be a mentor or a mentee. So you can always reach up or you can always reach back. And it's worked out well because we've had people meeting in the same groups for 6 and 7 years now. They're same unbiased, trusted advisors that don't have anything to gain or lose. And they're able to meet with people virtually every week. Listen, isolation is the enemy to excellence. And if you want your life to be really fulfilled, you want to be adventuresome, you've got to get in community. You've got to have people around you that can encourage you, point out your blind spots, encourage your superpowers, and really be your board of directors. And that's what we do.
That is absolutely incredible. And I think isolation is the enemy of excellence is a great writer down. That's a phenomenal quote. You've been doing this for a long time and now you're going to hit 40 different groups. I'm assuming you're not personally leading them all, right?
No,
Are there people certified in the Aaron Walker method?
Yes. We have a product called the Mastermind Playbook where we teach people to do exactly what we're doing. And so we grow up our own facilitators. We do revenue share with them. We create the framework. All the theme is the same. And we set up the man in the middle, the accountability tools, all the productivity tools. Listen, we've got it dialed in to help you be productive personally and professionally.
That is absolutely fantastic. So who is the idea? You talked about growing up your talent. So this is would that be a small business owner who now wants to give back, wants to pay it forward?
Yeah. Well, also, we pay really, really well. And so they're leading these calls an hour a week, some of them 2 hours a week for these calls. And so we really, really do a generous revenue share. But the problem is most people that they want to lead mastermind groups, but they don't have the framework. They're like, hey, they're scared too, because the myth is in their mind, I've got to be able to answer all the questions. They'll go, hey, I'm not Aaron Walker. I haven't owned 14 businesses, so I couldn't have a group. Well, see, that's not true, because masterminds are equal, right? The facilitators leading, they're participating, they're involved just as the same as the members. It's just that the facilitator keeps the ball moving down the field. He keeps the guardrails, if you will. And so we teach everyone how to do that along the way.
What are you finding are some of the biggest issues that the small business owners are coming to you with that your groups are able to help them?
Yeah, they don't have lack of clarity. They really know that there's many options out there, but they can't get clarity. And the other one is they're alone. And especially they're alone today because of the pandemic. And so now they don't have people around them physically. The other thing is that's really made this amazing is when you're in a geographic location, you're limited by the talent that is in your geographic pool. But when it's virtual, now we can put people from all over the world into the same group. And so, man, you can really align yourself with amazing people. The other thing is that we found that people are really becoming transparent and vulnerable more virtually than they are physically.
Wow.
And the reason is because, Seth, if you and I were in Nashville, Tennessee, and our wives played tennis together, I'd be a little bit apprehensive with telling you that I'm struggling in some area. If you're in the same mastermind group with your banker, you're not going to talk about your cash flows down, right? He's going to pull your loan. And so virtually, it gives you a sense of autonomy. It gives you a sense of freedom that you can share openly with people. Now these people are going into business together. They're traveling together. It's just an amazing resource to be able to use these video platforms to be able to share, and you go about your business. It's not 20 minutes driving there, an hour and a half meeting, 20 minutes talking afterwards, 30 minutes back. You burn up 3 or 4 hours. This way, you get on, you do your business, you get off, you go back to work. And so from a time perspective, it's very beneficial as well.
Absolutely. 40 groups. What's the average number of members in a group? I'm sure.
There's 10 members in a group. We have 20 groups today. We're scaling. We should have 40 groups by the end of the year. And then our long-term aspirational goals are 1,500 members. So we're going to have 150 groups. And then I'm raising up, teaching people how to run the groups. And so it doesn't bog me down individually. It's just that we've dialed into the framework. And I've done this for decades. I've been involved in a mastermind group every week for over 20 years. And so we have figured out what works and what doesn't.
Now, you've owned so many businesses and you're building this amazing one. You've been so successful. What have been some of the biggest challenges other than the car accident that you've overcome, and what'd you learn?
Yeah, Seth, let me just be totally honest with you. The problem in my marriage even today is I love to work, and it's a real challenge for me. I even have to go to a counselor myself to understand what is the motivator and what is pushing me. And recently I went to the counselor. I said, man, why am I doing this so much? Why am I working so hard? He said, well, the good news is you've been successful at your businesses. He said, the bad news is you've been successful at your businesses. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you'll work twice as hard to maintain the reputation that you have than you would if you had had a miserable failure. And I'd never dawned on me or thought about that. But the truth is we have an ego, we have a pride, and to keep that in check, because I don't want to fail. I want to be very successful at anything that I'm doing, and I'm willing to put the time, the effort, and the energy in. Sometimes I get caught up in that, and my wife has to remind me, hey, you've worked 14, 15 hours today. Don't you think that's enough? And I'm like, but I love it because I see the transformation happening in all these people's lives. And I'm like, man, if I just one more call, one more mastermind group, reach out, we're going to be able to help them as well. And so I've got to really be careful with that, because you can circumvent the system and you can distort your own boundaries.
Absolutely. I think you've already alluded to it, but I'm going to ask you to go a little deeper. Your passion's so obvious and contagious. What do you like best about what you do?
Yeah, I think used to it was about the success that I was achieving for myself. But to be totally honest with you, and statistics will prove that once you get to a certain level financially, the gain that you get out of that is so incremental that you don't even, not that I've got tons of money, I don't, but honestly, the threshold is $70,000. Right? When you get to $70,000, like your basic needs are met, but after that, it's just so incremental, just this tiny. And I'm like, hey, you can have a nice house. We do. We have nice cars. We take nice trips. We do all those things. But like, what more can you do? Like, you can only take so many trips. You can only take so much time off. For me, it's seeing other people become better husbands, better wives, better in business. They're investing better. They're coming out of their upper limit challenge problems. We're encouraging them to try things and stretch beyond anything that they could ever imagine. And when they go, man, I did it, Big A, and it worked. This is unbelievable. And then they have people with different perspectives. They're like, I didn't even know to know that. And now when I have all these different perspectives, it's like, man, I can take this and I can take this and part of this, and it will make it amazing. See, we can only see it one way. Even if we want to see it another way, we can't. We have filters the way we were raised, the experiences that we've been through. But when you surround yourself with very competent people that can encourage you and give you a new perspective, it just opens doors like nothing else. And then you go, man, there's a whole nother world here. And it just catapults your success to a different level.
I agree 100%. We appreciate you surrounding yourself with us for a little bit today. For our business owners watching and listening who want to learn more about your mastermind program, where is the best place for them to go?
Yeah, Seth, thank you. The best place to go is viewfromthetop.com. That's with a V, viewfromthetop.com. I make myself very easy to get a hold of. My email's there, my phone's there. Please reach out. I'd love to talk to you more. If you want to make money doing masterminds, I'd encourage you to reach out to me as well, because the Mastermind Playbook is an incredible tool that we've created. Inc. Magazine just reached out, did a full page story. Dave Ramsey did a full video endorsement. Ray Edwards said it's the best course he's ever taken in his career. And people are using this tool all over the world to really generate a great revenue for you. And we can teach you to run your own mastermind.
That is absolutely awesome. We greatly appreciate your time. This has been Seth Greene here with Aaron Walker from viewforthetop.com. Aaron, thanks so much again for joining us.
Thanks, Seth.
Thanks everybody for watching or listening. We'll see you next time.
Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level, but need capital to get it done? Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.